This video is to my non-democratic friends or my democratic friends. I have democratic friends. I have democratic friends that I am friends with that are certainly not friends with me. And I have democratic friends that will never be friends with me, that hate me because I'm not a Democrat. I know that. I see it everywhere. That's the nature of our society today. That's how far the left has gone. So this message is to my Democratic friends, the ones that I call Stepford people. Some of you may not know. Look it up. Movie with Jack Nicholson, who happened to go to my high school. So, and yours, if you happen to go to my high school. This message is to you because you don't listen. I'm doing some videos, and the reason I'm doing this and this message is for you because you don't listen. I don't like where you're taking us. A lot of people don't like where you're trying to take us. And we want to explain why we don't like where your side is trying to take us. Because there's a lot of whys that you're not very wise to about the dangers of where you're taking this country. The country, by the way, the only country left on earth with freedom of speech. And never in my life did I ever think that I'd be concerned for that. But today, with political correctness and all this bullshit about safe spaces and victim mentalities, a woman's a victim of the man and the gay is a victim of the straight. And how about Jimmy Buffett's "It's my own damn fault"? You know, grow up, because you need to. What am I describing? Let me move forward with that, my Democratic friends. What am I describing? They're small, from 1 to 3 feet. They don't listen well. They want to do whatever they want to do because they don't want to listen to whoever's talking to them. They need to be, I'll leave that part out of it. They need to be parented. Yes. Children need to be parented. And I'm sorry, whether you like it or not, you all need to be parented a little bit because you're blaming your parents. You know, you're not thinking about your kids. Them? Well, wait a minute. Work, my husband, those guys, my kids. About them? Oh, I forgot about them. They're all right. The babysitter's there, or they're at the daycare if you're fortunate enough, or you have a loving grandmother. Other than that, you're abusing your child. And those of you that don't agree with that, just look around the natural world, the wild kingdom, and every mother species that is, are there exceptions? Every mother species raises and protects her offspring until they are old enough and wise enough to protect themselves, So I don't like that either. I'm on a rant here. It's getting bad, though. You want to know how bad it can get here? Take a look at what's happening in the United Kingdom right now, because there are, closest cousins and two 20-something-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, conservative, far-right. There's no such thing. The KKK, yeah, 6 or 7 old guys over there. There is no far-right. There's a far-left. And the dialogue has been moving, well, they're far-right extremists. I don't see them marching around with masks on. Are they far-right extremists? Or those storming college campus speeches of a conservative speaker, and shouting them down because they don't want to hear what a conservative has to say. Are those Democrats or are those far leftists? I don't see any far rights. One crazy dude here and there, period. Those kids doing those killings aren't far rights. They're neglected children. So that's that. So there is no far right. You're making one though. If you push hard enough uh, and call people stupid long enough, which is essentially what you've been doing for the last 8 or 9 years, since we had Obama, which you got to wake up to that too. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I watched the dude for 8 years. I didn't see a patriotic bone in his body. He cringed. He cringed at the flag and the GIs. And the colonialists is really what he thought we were. He was the Manchurian candidate as far as being the first president that didn't have America, United States' best interest in it for them. That's a good spokesman for my country. I think I'll hire a guy who's got a chip on his shoulder towards everybody in the country, hangs out with leftists like, the worst guys, the guys that bombed buildings back in the 60s. His preacher hated the United States, and you're in love with him? Look what happened right after he left office. Or during when he left, they started pulling down statues. I mean, that's an optic we don't want to see. We don't want to destroy history. They're bad people. They are bad, bad people. And they use you pawns. They make every limousine white dude into a guilty, oh my God, I have to enable the entire black race, which is not going to do anybody any good because it's just going to piss them off more. I love them, but they are in a shitty, shitty spot, But kissing the screamers' asses is not the way to do it. Holding a microphone up to Black Lives Matter when they're talking about killing cops, and I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm just your average Joe. So, where was I? I digress. So, and then they call two blonde-haired chicks that try to go, journalists that try to go over to Great Britain, far-right extremists, treat them like Islamic terrorists. You got to look at her video. If you do, it's just disgusting. And the worst thing is if Britain falls, which it's on the verge of doing, it's not falling visually, it's falling to the EU. But when Britain falls as a country to something else, the ships fall too. And the nuclear weapons fall too. Now, call me a conspiracist, but things are bad over there. Like, I'm ready to call the royal family and say, what the hell are you doing? There are mobs of Pakistani men gang raping 14 and 12-year-old girls, and the political correctness is so bad that they don't want to piss off the Muslims. Yet a guy comes along and says, hey, I'm not liking what I'm seeing in this country, and they try to put him in jail, Tommy Robinson. Is he? I don't know. You know what? If he's becoming a far rightist, it's because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are dying and being raped by Islam men in Europe. And if I was a father, if there ain't no fathers that would agree with me on that one. If they started raping the children of your neighborhood, how would you react? How would you react? Tommy Robinson is no radical. He's an honest man who doesn't like what he's seeing. So, to my liberal friends, my Stepford friends, I don't like the way you're heading, and neither do about 50 other million people in this country, more than that, of course, half the country, The women have to get off their high horses. Yes, get off your fucking high horses. It's a partnership, not a fight. Kids don't like to see fights. They fight when they see fights. You're fighting with your husband. You're teaching your kid how to become a fighter, an inappropriate fighter. Okay? So grow the fuck up, get off your high horses. Any divisive blame politics should be disallowed. Disallowed. Divisive group against group, not in this country. We don't play that game in this country. We don't want different people hating each other in this country. Okay? I don't want it. You don't want it. Okay. So no more blaming. Let's get past. I was talking to a friend of mine today and admitted that I also watched Rachel Maddow out of morbid curiosity, just to see years ago what the left at its ugliest was. That's what I wanted. That's why I went to that channel. And I used to stay on there for 10 minutes and I'd say, the left is ugly. This is bad. This is a bad message that these people are pushing, all of them. So I turn it off. And a week later, I'll go back and see if maybe they've had a spiritual awakening and the left is not as evil as it was. And nope, Rachel Maddow is on there, or whoever the case may be, spewing what they spew. Nothing about what's best for your grandchildren. What's best for my grandchildren? Oh, well, I mean, hey, this guy likes women, you know. Oh, well, you know. Find a president that doesn't like women. I'm tired of that. Am I okay with what Bill Clinton did with a teenager who's 10 years older than my daughter? I'm not okay with that. I don't care what Trump did in his life. I don't care. I don't care because I know where his head's at right now. And if you didn't have your head so far up your own ass, you would know where he's at. He's the first president who says, screw big business, but he knows he needs them. But he said, screw them, okay? Because he said, this is for you, for the people. And he said, screw the left, because they're just going to hate me no matter what. So, and he's not pulling any punches. There's no more, just a little pump for Trump. There's no more ISIS caliphate. If you watch the news, you probably don't, because they don't want to tell you good stuff that's happening. They might not. They probably wouldn't even report on that. I don't think CNN or MSNBC would really report on that in any positive way. That Trump in 12 months eliminated the geographical caliphate for ISIS. They have no more homeland in 12 months, right? And the left will tell us that's a bad thing. The left also tells us, oh, Trump's going to cause nuclear war. Well, who else got talking to crazy man? What does he call him? I love it. What did he call him? Rocket Man. Come on. You have to think that's funny. Now stop it. Stop being such bastards. Such whining, hating bastards. And get back into life. My God, the friggin' late night television used to be Johnny Carson making everybody laugh. And you disgusting people are watching hate comedy at 11 o'clock at night. You disgusting, stupid people are watching hate comedy instead of love comedy at 11 o'clock at night. Now, who's smarter there? My generation or yours? I'm having fun here. It's kind of like telling all you pain in the asses off in one big shot, you know? The left can ruin anything. They can throw an imbalance into any yin-yang. Yin and yang, you know? Men have yin and yang. Men and women have yin and yang. Women and men have yin and yang. Relationships have yin and yang. Cultures have yin and yang towards each other. If you disrupt the yin and the yang with hatred, all you're going to get is more hatred, you know? And big government isn't the answer. Trump hates big government because he knows about the deep state. So he hates big government. He hates big global business. He hates the global goings on, and he knows what we don't know. He knows what I've been afraid of. He sees it. Please, left friends, stop the insanity. The First Amendment is not about hate. It's about telling, they're fuck you hate. I don't hate anybody. But knock, knock, McFly, get off your high horse and come to the table because you are blowing it for this country. And you call it our generation's fault or even the one before mine, you know? Like I said in a tape, they're crying about the dreamers that come across the border, but I mentioned in my last post to this YouTube that the real dreamers are the dreamers that were older, a little older than me, and had no money except what they saved in their house, and the banking crisis and the mortgage bailout crisis, which should have never occurred because it was just a political thing to appease part of the left. So what did we pay? People who, it wasn't fair that people weren't getting loans. So we gave people who didn't deserve loans, and you wonder why the banks screwed you on that one. And then 10 years later, when everything goes to shit, what is the benefit of giving X number of people loans? They've all lost their houses. Half of them have by now. And also that went down with them is the equity in every one of the baby boomers' retirement real estate. Houses went down. Their equity was gone. And then the third attack of the triad of attacks was in their 401ks and the savings that they had, because the government then bailed out the banks with so much friggin' money. No, let me rephrase that. The banking government bailed out the banks, who bailed out the banking governments for the tune of like $15 trillion. And what happened to the CD rates? Well, if you had $15 trillion, would you pay a lot of interest on money going out? No, because you don't need it. So the baby boomers all lost everything. They're working at Home Depot and the grocery stores now at 70, 65, 70 years old, when they could be traveling around the country or hanging out with their grandchildren. But instead they're working. So, and that's on you. The loan crisis is yours. Own it. It all started when Sharpton and them guys started picketing Bank of America back in, I don't know when it was. I think it was in the Clinton years. And all of a sudden the liberals and everybody came down on the banks. I saw it happening. You know, it's unfair lending. And then they came down so hard on the banks, and Bank of America is a kiss-ass bitch anyway. It's a useless bitch. The whole Bank of America, this is how much contempt I have for them. Bank of America, if you added up all their assets and liabilities, and even the ones that are hidden from them, and went to the bank in Marathon or the bank in Key West and saw a hobo on the street corner with a quart of vodka, a bicycle and a backpack, and some sort of very short cigarette in his mouth, you know, maybe out of a garbage can or something, that guy has a better portfolio than that bank does. And how have they treated us since the bailout? They've upped fees and fines and the Mac machines. They've done away with service department. You got a call to talk to your banker now. And all of this, you dummies, is because you gave them $15 trillion. And why did you give them $15 trillion? Because the left and the right are on the same side when it comes to business. That's the only place they agree. They pretend not to agree, but they get it done, like the tax break, which I'm okay with. The smaller government is better. We don't want them. They got too many guys looking at us right now as it is. Go look at somebody else. I don't want you looking at me anymore. All right? So take a hike. The FBI sucks. Come on. They fail at everything. I go by a damn street sign down here on Key Deer Boulevard that says, see something, say something. Those people, well, the Russians told them about the Boston bombers. Hello, Mr. President. Hello. Well, there's these couple of guys from over there by us, and They're a couple of brothers, and we think they're going to blow shit up in your country. Okay, we'll file that one away. All right, the Saranov brothers. That's exactly what your enemy, Putin, told Obama. Okay? There are others. There are so many others, you know. Benghazi was just a pigsty. It was just a pigsty, a disgusting, deprecable pigsty of a performance by this government. And to blame it on some video, you should, you know, they had that guy in jail for like a year for a friggin' satire video on the crazy Muslim bastards. Sometimes you deserve it. You know, not every German was a Nazi. I am not even in the game of saying every Muslim is an Islamist, but 25% of them want to mutilate women and have absolute authority over women. And that 25% is the percent that usually rules their worlds. Think about that one. Who rules Muslim worlds? The hardest core, most conservative bastards in the world. And you're kissing their ass. Boy, they are licking their chops. They're licking their chops for you people. It's sad. Because it's sad for my grandchildren. Black, white, it's just sad for this country. You know, we got to get our laws back working for us. Call good, good. Call bad, bad. Call law, law, and order. You know? My God, quit breaking the law. And raise your families. And stop fighting the men. I'm going to roll. I feel like fighting some more. I feel like telling you off a little more. I will. I'll tell you off more. At the top of your party are some very, very, listen, they manipulate the shit out of people, especially the poor, because they're in such a tight community, inner city poor, you know, they manipulate them. I mean, I've seen videos of men with horrible things about Trump that they say on their shirts, and they don't even know why. I've seen a very courageous man interview some of them guys. And as soon as they started talking about what Trump was doing, here's a guy, you know, there's no more caliphate for ISIS. Hey, that's a big one, you know. I didn't give a shit about Osama bin Laden. One dude, they should have done that publicly to humiliate the cause, to destroy his, I guess what I mean is I don't mean they should have done that publicly. I mean they should have buried him any damn way they wanted to, instead of the way Islam prescribed, because that would indicate that they had dignity for him when it came to his religion. And he did what he did in the name of his religion. And I had friends on the fucking 105th floor. Okay, don't tell me. You know, I tilted a few back with men who were on the 105th floor. So don't bullshit me with your, you know, you forgot that so quick. It took us 50 years to get over Pearl Harbor, and you forget Pearl Harbor take two against civilians in a decade. You're pathetic. You're pathetic people. Pathetic, self-centered, selfish, ill-intended people. That's who's at the top. Ill-intended people. You know, like, my God, it's such a fucking joke. Come on. They're Trump and Russia. Hillary Clinton takes $1 gazillion from a Russian company and sells, I don't know, 20 or 30% of our uranium mining capacity to a Canadian company that the week before got bought out by a Russian company that gave Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation millions of dollars. All right. Then she sells out 20% of our fucking uranium. All right. Obama gives in the dark of night to Tehran $1 trillion in cash. I'm sure they spent that on diapers and formula. Yeah, I guarantee you that. And so, and it's like, plus there's like the IRS scandal. It's just disgusting. The rule of law was not applied. I've seen a lot of people go through politics. I'm 50. I'll be 57 next month. And the rule of law was not applied during the Obama administration. He was held unaccountable. Birth certificate, you know what? Screw you and your birth certificate. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with asking. Are you kidding me? I can't. I don't know what I can't do many things without there's a lot of things I can't do without my birth certificate or my ID, you know? That's another one. You want everybody to vote. Oh my God. Voter IDs, we're not allowed to have voter IDs because it'll be discriminatory because why? Everybody's got IDs. It's such bullshit. They just want to keep it easy to cheat. All right. And I don't want to keep it easy to cheat because the more poor people that come into this country that thinks that the government is their answer, the bigger, worse mess it's going to get for me and you, and the more power the corporate political establishment is going to have. And in a world where they know everything that everybody does and people don't seem to care, how hard would it be to control everyone if you knew what everybody did? There could never, ever, ever be a opposing party. And that would be a horrible time, you know. If there was no opposing party, then all that would happen is government would grow. The people at the top would get more and more and more and more and more. The people at the bottom would be angrier and hungrier and hungrier, like they are in Venezuela right now. Do you know the average person in Venezuela, since the collapse of their socialist society, lost 20 to 25 pounds in the last year? Folks, they're fucking starving, okay? Report that, CNN. Report that, MSNBC. The people of Venezuela are starving. The left destroyed their country, and we're more complicated than they are. We could never have a socialist country. The ones that lasted, they lasted off us. The only reason these European countries lasted, which they're not anymore, is because they didn't need militaries because we had an umbrella for them. So essentially, they were wiped out of, they were enabled on their responsibility to defend themselves. So the good old USA protected everybody on all those socialists that got fatter and happier and more tolerant and more fatty and no winners and no losers and everybody's feelings hurt. That's disgusting. That's not true. Because there is a liar for every crier. And remember that. For every crier, let me rephrase that. For every other crier, there's a liar. In other words, that accuser of whatever it may be, if they're crying when they're accusing and they're not crying tomorrow, they might be liars 50-50. All right? If they cry that day, they're probably not liars. But if they cry 10 years later, just as good of a chance it's a small resentment than it was sexual anything. So that's bullshit. Like, all of a sudden, I've decided in my infinite wisdom that I will just, because she's a female, I will just trust every one of them and discount every man in the world. That would be ridiculous. But that's what they want you to do. That's what the message is. Trust every bitch. I'm going to use the word bitch because some of you are, and some of us are bastards. There's probably more bastards than there are bitches, but there's plenty of both. I lost my train of thought, but I'm having fun with you because I say it's just driving me crazy. It's become just more and more childish. And more childish and more violent. This will probably never upload. I'm talking almost 30 minutes, but I'll end with this. If you want to really get serious about what's going on in the world, watch Milo Yiannopoulos, a gay conservative. All right, watch what happens to him. If you want to know what's going on in other parts of the world, watch. I can't think of her name now. Lauren Southern. Watch ABL on YouTube. It's ABL. It's a young African American kid, great kid. He talks about this stuff. Then there's another guy. Christ, I got so many of them, I can't remember half of them. Kevin's Corner, another African American conservative that hates your guts because you won't listen to us. The men are figuring it out that things aren't going right because we have the instinct of danger. We have a danger instinct that you have a safety protect instinct, but we go way out beyond that. Our radar goes out to danger. We see dangers that you right now are applauding. You watch a damn feminist march in London and you say, do you think there's a problem with feminism and Islam? And these women will look at you like shocked as can be and say, that's ridiculous. That sentence doesn't even make sense. They're so stupid. You are so stupid that you're letting in the sickest, most detestable, conservative, extremist, farthest right sons of bitches on the face of the earth, and you're letting them in and you're holding them in higher regard than us. You know that might wink when you walk by or hold the door for you. I don't know, when do you stop holding the door for a gal? I can see you're all miserable. It is so nice to walk around and it's like tripping or something. You'll be walking around the grocery store and honest to God, you're all the female liberal leftists are in black and white to me because I see them. They're frozen in something, not quite themselves. And then a head will pop up down the hallway. She might be 70. She's very rarely under 40. And I'll just see that great big, I trust you, you're okay smile. Like, yes, I'm a girl and you're a boy. That smile of trust and respect. You're disgusting with your, ooh, they're bad to me. Oh my God. The left here it is. They fucked up left-right, black-white relations. They fucked up the black family with their welfare state. And the corporations, don't get me wrong, I'm going to go right with we have to get an us party, a family first party, because they disguise it, but they're both for the same thing when it comes to finances. And some of that's not in our best interest. So we really have to get together, or we'll never win. Because if your side wins, I lose, we all lose. But if the guys on my side that I don't like win, we all lose the same way. It's the same end. They just meet up on the other side, but it's all the same. Shaft for the people and hooray for the state, which will be so enmeshed with the internet and the information system. You want to talk about state, private, enmeshed? What's his name? The guy I can't stand from Facebook, Zucker Fool. I cannot believe that guy did all this. He is, and I've heard this. It's not, I've been thinking this, but I have to steal it from my friend. That guy is a dipshit. Zuckerberg is stupid. All right? You can't be Zuckerberg and have what he has. I'm sorry, it's not possible. He's a front man for the friggin' government. The government is, listen, this whole freedom of speech thing, you know how, 20 years ago on the internet, you could pretty much say anything you wanted. Now, all my friends are getting censored because they're saying, we don't agree with you. That's what they're saying. We don't agree with you. We don't like where you're going. And it's absurd. And the government's completely enmeshed in Google and Facebook. And I don't know what's going on with Apple. Apple just seemed to sell out to the communists, China. This doesn't end well for the masses. Oh my God. We need to get our country back together. And you can't jump to the other ship because of friggin' global warming, because that's a fallacy. The right, I hate the right for this, and I'm on the right. They shove "we don't care" or "you don't have enough proof" down our throat too. We have children. And the problem is, and they have a point. They have a problem because all these laws that are passed by the world will bring our economy down, but it won't bring other economies down. So essentially, to sign on to the Paris Accords would be to say, okay, we're going to let China and India become rich at our expense. Are you madmen? Do you see how people in China and India live? There is no middle class. India is a caste system. China is a shut up or die system with some softening around the edges, we hope. Russia, on the other hand, has the most warheads, but you guys are willing to pick a fight with them right now because you don't like Trump. You idiots. Are you crazy? The Hillary with her reset button, they laughed in her face. Obama on tape said, it'll be different when I get reelected. Don't worry, we'll be able to get some stuff done. In your face. And they've been holding this Trump bullshit over your head for a year. You fools. And even if there is something there, it's so frigging benign. It's so frigging, they'll find something benign about somebody, like the perjury on a general who spent his life in the service of his country. And the only way they leveraged him is because something was wrong with his son. And they told him, if you don't give us some shit, some stupid shit, we're gonna hurt your son. Fuck you, government. That's nothing to say to General whatever his name was, General Flynn. They demonize you. Shame on you for demonizing people. Shame on you for demonizing a general. Shame on you. Were you a general? Was I a general? Do you know what it's like to be a general? Do you know what he knows that we don't know? Shame on you. In this whole thing, you can't talk to another country before an election. Everybody does. Everybody does. It's like, hold on, I'm going to be coaching the football team next year, so I don't want to ever have a talk with the players over the summer before camp to get to know the guys. And these guys happen to have nuclear weapons. Don't you think you'd want to have a little heads up? Hey, how you doing, man? I'm here and you're there, and I got to deal with. I'm here for my guys. I want to tell everybody that, and he does, and he does, and he does. He keeps telling us that, and you don't let your people hear him. You smother it in your hatred for blacks, hatreds for men, the Me Too hatred. Black Lives Matter, no lives matter, blue lives matter, hatred. Antifa, those little demons, they're like the little demons of the world. Someday they're going to get their heads knocked in because nobody's going to take them pushing you around forever. And then when they get their head knocks in, those little demons, then you're going to blame the guy who knocked their heads in. So you know what? I'm not blaming the guy for knocking a couple of those guys' heads in. I'm not saying he should kill them. Obviously, I'm not for that. But if they get in your face and they cross your boundaries and they assault you, you have every right to defend yourself. You have every right. In other words, if a guy spits in your face and is coming at you, I think, well, if he was a police officer, he'd be able to shoot him, okay? Which might be cool in that situation. I don't know. But as a conservative at these speech rallies, a guy spits in your face and starts coming at you, and you can't do shit, or they'll call you the KKK. Well, I got news for you. That shit's changing soon. We can't stay with that. You can't be spit on and demoralized. you know. And Berkeley Police Department and your college, start doing your job. Or I'm going to start thinking the hippie thing of the 60s was an accident, a 50-50 chance. Because they got that one right. The whole love thing, and that war wasn't great. They pussied out. But at least they got the thing right. You know, freedom, sex, freedom, love, freedom, everybody, the best song in the world, Aquarius, you know, the closest the blacks and the whites were ever together. And they got that one right, the little peace sign. But this one, it just shows it might have been a 50-50 chance because the idiots are on the side of the fascists calling the conservatives that have been the exact same way as they are right now for 50 years. They're calling them Hitler. And it's disgusting, or supremacists, and it's disgusting. We're the only race on the planet, mind you, the only race on the planet that's let other races into our continents. I mean, think about it. Yeah, you can blame us for the Indians, that one. But let's just take Europe. Look what they've done. And what are they getting for it? They're getting destroyed. Their cultures are being devastated because of liberalism. Their children are being raped. Their kids are being shot in schools, in concerts, their babies, or in movie theaters or concert halls or cafes, or run over by trucks, their babies. And the guy who complains about it is a white supremacist. Are you out of your fucking minds? I love you all. I do love you all, but I don't like you all. Some of you I'll never like. Most of you I'll like. You just got to understand me, and you got to start opening your ears to us, or it's going to go badly for everybody. You know? It's going to go badly for everybody. I'm not going to see it. I'm 57. But our children are going to see it. Our grandchildren are going to be it. Our grandchildren, my grandchildren, somebody who's 1 today or isn't born, someone who's not born yet for another, let's say from some kid who's 1 year old today to somebody who's going to be born 25 years after that. So 25 years in the future from now, the one child will be born and the other child will be 25. And they're going to be inheriting nothing. They're going to be inheriting nothing because they'll have no rights. They won't. Certainly by the time the second 50 years, the way the internet's going. And guys, you know, this is not about what you think. You know, and I'm not, well, you don't know, but I'm not a big churchgoer. But I'll say this, it's about God, in my opinion, or whatever the hell you want to call anything but yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, you're a fool. And God doesn't need us. And you might be able to disprove some plausible disapproval of God. I'm okay with that. But has it ever occurred to you that we might need God as a species, whether he exists or not? Because a ship without a rudder ends up on the rocks. And we've got some big time growing up to do in the next, dare I say, 20 years, or we're doomed. I'm optimistic about my life. I'm optimistic about my daughter's life because it gives me thrivings. And let me tell you, there's been some wrenches thrown into that generation already. Obamacare. I got a kid who had an English lit degree, and she's got $70,000 in student loans, which there's a part of that 15 trillion we gave them, you know. You can't file bankruptcy on a student loan, you know. They boxed them in. And they boxed them in because they knew they'd default. Screw you, go bankrupt. You can't go bankrupt on a student loan. So here's what they did. I'll just give this little, I'm on a roll. I'll just give this little explanation of what happens with the student loans. All right? They give them to them, and you can't go bankrupt on them because they'll do whatever they can. They're allowed to do anything, including take your tax refund and garnish your wages. So you're in your debtor's prison if you default on a student loan. There is no default on a student loan. But to make themselves look up, to make it plausible to have that draconian practice after taking $15 to $30 trillion of our money, they had to have a way out. Who pays? The government's paying. And here's how. I learned this recently. You can get what they call a income attached payment, which lowers the payment and gives you a significantly, like by 80%. And the government pays, if you're in that plan, while the loan is moving along, the government pays about 75% of the interest, providing you renew it every year because you have to be income certified and no other extenuating circumstances occur. So they almost made it impossible for kids to get out of student loans. In an age where it's like the highest number of children graduating from high school and the least amount of jobs. The highest number of college kids graduating it's been a boom for colleges. They've lowered standards and did a lot of different things. They liberalized them. They charge you $50,000 for a women's studies course or the intimate lovings of a transgendered person or white lashing or the definition of, what was it? White privilege. I don't know. I see an awful lot of white privilege driving down the friggin' turnpike in New Jersey in the traffic, hating life, trying to get into the city to make enough money to support their families. If that's what you call white privilege, you can have it. It's always greener. Grass is always greener on the other side of the street with you. You don't even realize what people go through. And you sit there in your comfy little places, inciting the masses so you can get their votes. The left is abhorrent. Where you're taking us is abhorrent. It is. It's going to be an abhorrent place for everyone involved. We have to be if it comes down to it, we have to be the only country with individual liberties, which they hate. They don't want anybody to have individual liberties. Oh my God, that means they have a voice at the table. We hate that. Let's get them to fight each other. And then we'll come up with something called hate speech, and then political correct speech. And then all of a sudden, free speech is no speech or one-sided speech. I don't like slippery slopes like that. And I tell you the truth, raise your kids and they might stop killing each other in schools. But as far as taking rights away from a million people because some idiot did something horrible, it's absurd. Where would it end? It would end with no rights for anybody and a government that's so distrusting of its people, they can't have anything at all. It's a disgrace. It's not what America's about. We're about toughness, We're about love and toughness. And we've been loving. Stop it with the Democrats started the war. Lincoln was a Republican. Those people who were against the damn Jim Crow laws were all Republicans. The dude who dragged the Indians west was a Democrat. The civil rights was passed by the Republican Party. You had the KKK in your land, in your party. They made a lake out of him down in the Carolinas. What's his name? I forget his name. So they're so slick and devious that they can turn the blame onto your friends. That's how diabolically disgusting either of them are, because they want the same thing. The radical left wants power in government, and the radical right wants money, and they're both the same thing. And they're sitting up there saying, we want this. And it's just a balance, and the focus is not where it should be. For us, the focus has got to be on the family and love. It's got to be, or it'll become chaos and hatred everywhere. It's getting dark in here. It takes me 1 second, to my friends. It takes me 1 second. Now back to Rachel Maddow. I turn her on for one, and I don't do this anymore, but at the end of my watching Rachel Maddow, the only thing I'll turn on now is her pouting about the election. I kind of revel in it. But thank God he won. Thank God for you. And you don't even know it. And you hate the guy. Oh, thank God Hillary's not there. It would be horrible. It would be horrible. Anyway. So, thank God. But what else? This is stuff I've been watching happen. All right, so anyways, back to Rachel Maddow. So the last 6 months ago, I quit watching Rachel Maddow. When I quit with cable and satellite TV, it's a ripoff. You can get whatever you want on the internet. Why pay an extra $100? Why pay $170 a month for something you can get for $50? You don't need TV anymore. You pick what you want to watch. Don't let them pick for you, because that's what they're doing, and she's disgusting. So Rachel, now, 6 months ago when I turned off my TV, the last bunch of times I turned on Rachel Maddow, I could turn on a channel, click, and unless it was a commercial, within one split second, maybe two, I would hear what I heard. It took me less than 2 seconds to hear her message every time I put her on, and I could hear her message in 2 seconds. Hatred, envy, hatred, evil, supremacist, Ku Klux Klan, they're coming to get you crap. Nazis. My God. Yeah, maybe in some prisons. I'm sure there's a Nazis. Grow up. Figure out what the threats are, because it ain't Nazis right now. It ain't Nazis. I'm telling you. Anyway, I hope I might not post this. I'm going to have to review it and get the approval. But who knows?